All right, guys, welcome back. I'm Mike Wall, host of Block Party. We're here with our Dallas Cowboys preview against our beloved Green Bay Packers. The Dallas Cowboys are coming in at 1-2. They're 6.5-point underdogs. I want to get to the film right away, give you guys as much film and kind of insight to how this game I think is going to play out as possible. The Dallas Cowboys are – this game is going to come down to, very simply, in my opinion, how much time has Jordan Love had to throw? When you look at the Dallas Cowboys pass defense right now, they are dead last in the league at 280 yards passing a game. And the reason why is they hit no pass rush. They trade Micah Parsons to us. They get Kenny Clark back. He's a great run player. They're averaging, 3.7 yards per carry? Pretty good, right? Except there is all day to pass. Caleb Williams could have, made a loaf of bread back there, but by the time he got done with everything. And you can throw the ball all around the yard. You got all your deep stuff. It looks like a 7-step drop back clinic, right? And there's a bunch of stuff we'll get into of how that affects not only the passing game, but also what you can do in the screen and the run game, the quarterback run game. Offensively, look, I really am excited to watch these 3 first-round draft picks kind of play together with the Dallas Cowboys. It is always about Dak Prescott, certainly, but what they're trying to do is establish the run. They're averaging over almost 5.5 yards a carry. They're still pretty good on offense. They're 10th in the league right now, going after 3 games. But again, the real question here is: are you able to get pressure on Dak Prescott, and how are the Dallas Cowboys able to get pressure on Jordan Love, if at all? So I think that those 2 questions are going to be the key to the game. This is going to be a fun one. Let's go check out the tape. Okay, Dallas Cowboys defense. First and foremost, these guys are very, very basic when you look at kind of what they're bringing to the table as far as defensive structures. You just see a lot of, against 12, you're going to see 43. They like to play single high, rotate a safety. They'll play some match coverages, but really this game is going to be about the amount of time that Jordan Love has to throw. You see this first play with under center play action, and this is going to be the theme of the day, particularly if they run under center, if they pull a guard, even their drop back against 4. They got rid of Micah Parsons. They brought in Kenny Clark. Kenny is a great run player, and they're decent against the run. We're going to see some double teams that are advantageous for the Packers on this film, but they do not rush the passer very well. There is all kinds of time, and because of that, especially because they like to run a lot of rotational safety stuff, these guys on the back end are exposed. And I think this first play of the game, under center play action, all day to throw. They end up not making this throw, and we'll see this concept from the Bears a couple times where they go vertical with 1, they go the 7 with the 2, and then they just try to put that flat player kind of in a conflict situation here where, can you be right trying to cover both? The corner here does a good job of coming off, and they won't play some of this match stuff that you see in defenses all across the country now. But the real name of the game here is just how much time they have to throw. And going back to the end zone copy, we look at under center here. They're in 12 personnel. I want to point this out. You get a lot of this look where you get the 7 tech. And because of the way they play, and you understand the safety rotation already, meaning that this player over here that's just slightly half in the screen has to go back, it gives you an idea of how to block kind of every play. So the line, it makes the calls very easy for the line. They show a lot of stuff early. Yeah, they will bail, but it's pretty consistent. So that comes up in the running game a little bit. But just let's watch what happens here with the under center play action. You've got 2 double teams that really aren't thinking about pass rush at all. We've got a read player first here, and then you've got Cole Kmet, your tight end, blocking, what is, I guess, the Parsons replacement or their answer at defensive end or edge, and they've got just, he can stand back there like a statue. So there's a couple things that go along with this. We'll talk about them in time here. Okay, there's a holding on this call, but I still want to show. They go from wing and shift over, and this is what I was talking about on the last play. You just get this really advantageous system here where I'm going to end up getting 3 doubles, and then here I've got a 9 tech who can slant, but you've really kind of got angles everywhere you want. We can push out here as far as where we're going. These are really good football angles if you're just trying to run your basic belly scheme, right? Now, they do have some good guys on the interior as far as Kenny Clark, but you're going to see over the course of the game there are some good double teams. And really, the Dallas Cowboys, you're not pulling any punches. They'll slant this player here. They bring it over to the line of scrimmage. You can see and read that before. You can make adjustments and make calls beforehand, particularly if you're good with the cadence. But really, this I think is going to be all set up for the play action. So you go under center here again, really shifting to the same look. And then they go in the backfield. This is 13 personnel, meaning that we've got 1, 2, 3 tight ends in the game. And this is all set up for another play action look where you're just going to have all day to throw. They really end up running a 2-man route. So same concept as before. We're going deep. We've got the 7. We're here trying to put this player in conflict. Backer's not going to be able to hang with this. Obviously, corner goes deep. He sees that early because it is single high. They always do it. They oftentimes rotate that safety down. So you kind of get a good idea of what that's going to look like, at least on the edges. And this is a really easy pitch and catch, even though the tight end initially gets bumped off at the line of scrimmage. I'll go back to it from the end zone, though. The name of the game really is there's just nobody pressuring this quarterback. Out of under center, 13 personnel, obviously a run formation, and this looks like a run. And I think the Bears do a pretty good job of selling. And it's the little details, right? We've got everybody we got everybody in a 3-point stance. Because we have doubles everywhere but the backside. And when I say that, this is the only guy singled up, but tight end's coming back in. But you got doubles. You got doubles. You don't have a double here, but you have outside protection with the release. And the back is going that way. So, effectively, anything happens here, you're going to be able to bang out. So you really get 4 double teams on this play. It's a 2-man route, but when you're running single high, 2-man routes aren't always a bad thing if you have all day to run into the open space. And one thing you see with plays like that, just as kind of I don't know, maybe it's interesting, maybe it's not, but the quarterback is really just looking at one specific side of the field in that 2-man route. And I think for a young quarterback, that's good, but it also helps really everybody you look at as they drop out of here. You're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. It's like, look how many guys are going this way. And there's like literally nobody there, right? So this is kind of one of the, I think, smart plans by Ben Johnson, but this is also a way when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, like there's a little bit of panic. Okay, I got to get to my spots. But because he has so much time to throw, you can run into those deep occurring routes. Now we go out of gun. Looks like a 5-man rush. So they walk up the linebacker, and this is kind of as exotic as I've seen, really, when they walk up one, but really bring the other. Honestly, not that difficult to account for. All kinds of time to throw. And we'll show this play from the sideline real quick. The Dallas Cowboys historically are really good at the cornerback position. That we talk about all the turnovers. I think Diggs a couple of years ago, led the country in turnovers. If you did the advanced scouting on him, you also realize that he got beat for a significant amount of plays. And one of the reasons that guys get in trouble is they take these chances at the line to stab their opponent. Now this is a Duze, I think, up here from Washington, University of Washington, second-year guy. He's a good player. Tries to stab Duze, just falls down, hands up. And these are the plays you're not really planning on scoring necessarily on that route, right? But those happen when you got defenses like Dallas has historically taking chances. We got a 1st and 10 play here. Out of 11 personnel. Another situation where they have so much time they can just run these deep routes. You see right here, Kmet. He's going to bang out here and release. We got the guard coming over and blocking, and we're going to get a little bit of a half roll here from Caleb Williams, so just changing that launch point. But as we watch the actual routes, Nothing's happening here for 15 yards. And so right now, if you're looking, this is the other thing that happens when you get kind of no pass rush. The linebackers, the only viable people to be able to make a play here are past the sticks. The quarterback's back here, and when he decides to run, we got all kinds of space, right? He could throw the check down here, but it's like, why throw the check down when I can run for 20 yards on my own? And I think this becomes part of the game plan as you build out in the game, as you see that, okay, they can't get to the quarterback. We can run these really deep crossers, deep outs, all of this kind of our set, we would just call it back in the day like our 7-step drop packages because they have all day to throw. Well, now what happens is these linebackers get so deep because they have to, because otherwise these crossing routes are open. Like if he doesn't, if he's not there, we're in bad shape. If the safety doesn't pick and if we're not here, we got the crosser here. I mean, there's just a lot of issues if you don't get that depth. And they want to just, hey, let's throw it here and we'll just tackle what we see, right? We got the outlet out here, but there's so much space here, and this becomes part of the game plan. I think if you're Green Bay, it's like, if it's not there, just go. You're going to get 10. Like you can run for the first down here, and keep yourself relatively safe, right? Jack Sanborn there from old Chicago player. Okay, we got a 1st and 10, and we're going bunch motion over. We got our 12 personnel again under center. Both guys hipped off. Now they're going to can this call. So they're canning the call. Usually when you see that by the quarterback, and then he points out the mic, right? Usually when you see the can call, and then you see his eyes, he's pointing out. I think he's pointing out here probably, or maybe he's pointing to the safety rotation down, because that happens with the motion. Then they're canning the call. Cannon means you're going to go the other side. So if they're running away from this guy, then that means they're going to bring the ball and they're going to run it down here, right? Now, it doesn't really matter for Packer fans this week, but as we see, we're going to get another advantageous position here by this tight end with that 7 tech and really have the ability to get a good double. And if we watch this play unfold from the sideline here, you like the scheme, again, really because of that 7 tech, but you get the lead blocker, you block back out on Sanborn, and you're getting like that. I'm not showing you this magical play, but it's 6-7 yards. So let's take it across real quick. So we take it across, they can it. Now they bring him back. Okay, at the snap of the ball here, there's a player outside that we can't see. But we're out here for Sanborn. This angle is all the way back here. This, all the way back there. This is a very, very advantageous play. Because the safety rotated down this way, we know his first step's going to be backwards. That's the Dallas Cowboys mantra. So now when he fills, we're really running on safety. Everybody still has to make their block, but as far as angles go, you can't really ask for more. You see it here. Kmet kind of screws this up, and then for Sanborn ends up getting in. But like anytime you feel like you're running on a corner, you feel good about your life. Okay, this is an obvious passing play. You see that by the position of the tight end here. Like he's not going backside. Obviously, everybody's in a 2-point. We got the wide 3 techniques from Dallas. Okay, so this is where you're thinking to yourself, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, like, we got to find a way to get home. They don't look like they're bringing any kind of pressure here. They're going to give you a 4-man rush and play what's in front of them. One thing I want to point out here is looks like we have man coverage. We're matching that with the running back. And they end up running him across the ball. Run the screen, and now we got 2 guys out, and that guy that we were just referencing is late to the party, and so you got 1, 2, and this ends up being a monster play for Chicago. And if we just take it back, it's kind of it's a very well designed play, but you just don't, as you watch the Dallas Cowboys defense, this is the reason that they struggle. I mean, is this just a very simple, boy, you got to get your stuff together? Is it that 18 wasn't supposed to carry the seam? I'm guessing it's just this linebacker not doing his job properly. But one way or another, you start watching these plays, and it's like, man, there's just meat on the bone all over the field. Getting Josh Jacobs the ball with 20 yards of free space, and you feel pretty good about that. All right, we got a 2nd and 5 here. They go back to their 2 tight end look. And the 2 tight end look is really great because look how basic the defense is. You see the safety rotation, they account for it. And I put this on the tape just because you can get double teams to this guy. Watch in particular this look right here. You feel pretty good about that after watching the tape if you're the Green Bay Packers. Particularly Sean Ryan. I think Zach Tom might be out of this game. Let's say we bring Belton in again at 3:30. You feel like you can get a little bit of movement here. That's a really good job. And look, Kenny does a good job, obviously, of taking on doubles and getting low and everything. But, the other thing I love here, and, tight end university kind of deal is like this guy does a great job right here coming down and just trying to be physical. Something we can use a little bit more of. I don't know if our tight ends won the physical battle last week. I know they usually do. Again, 4 or 5 yard football play. Those things stack up. It's 1st and 10. The bunch look. All day to throw. All day to throw. And because they have all day to throw, you've got some incredibly difficult situations for these DBs. You've got the end to really, we're trying to put this guy in conflict. Then you got here, the seam carries this player, and then you got your 2 outlets. And it's like, this is a really good throw by this quarterback, but you're just really, you're always challenging these players at such a depth. It's one thing if you're having the same conversation with the same route combinations and it's like 5 yards closer up. The further away you get from the ball, the more you have to run, the more space that there is, the harder it is to cover, the harder it is to kind of orientate yourself of where the ball is going to go to. If you're running your stuff this week at 18 instead of 15 because you're going to run, you're kind of again your 7-step package, your deeper crossers, then that's a whole different ball of yarn for those linebackers in particular. The safeties, hey, just get it deeper than the deepest guy kind of thing. But those backers are the guys you can really put in conflict in the situations where you just don't have a great pass rush. Let's finish the play out here. Another easy pitch and catch, really. Okay, 1st and 10. And they just used the hell out of 12 personnel this week because that box is just so clean. They get caught with eyes in the backfield. It's interesting when you kind of watch some of these plays. Like these guys are all pros, right? And they know defensive back play more than I do. But you kind of look here and you go, all right, well, you got that and that. You're the safety down, so there's the space. And you've got this outside leverage and you got eyes on quarterback. And you've just got, this is kind of a baby fake here. It does end up sucking this guy in, which is obviously a problem for the Cowboys, but it seems like a pretty easy pitch and catch here. And look at that last play again, just the lack of pass rush, I think is tough. Here's the other option that you have, and we ran some RPOs last week. They're running this out a bunch, but this RPO is just, everybody's running this play now, right? And so they end up staying with 2 deep here. And Kmet's not even touching the defensive end. But as soon as Caleb Williams sees that, we've got a lead blocker, and then we're out the gate. We actually end up cracking and getting the tackle on the inside backer. And then now we're running on the safety who has to come down late. And these plays, when you've been torched, you can't create that pass rush. You got to get that spacing in the backfield because they're running these deeper routes. Now you've got, you've got like a 12, 15-yard head start on those safeties coming downhill. And, some of these quarterbacks, this is an easy Jordan Love. 8 yards fantastic run in the National Football League. These plays are always weird to me. And you see how good like Kenny Clark is here at just, I think that's Thuney, at just being able to lock out and kind of read and make those plays, right? But when you're as, it's almost like he's indecisive as you look at this defensive end. And he's not making either. He's really not making either one of these plays. He's super wide. It's like, are you worried about the crack? What's going on exactly? There's not a play you're going to make there. So they don't look like they're obviously a well-oiled machine. 2nd and 5 here. We go back and really, I like to call this. This is 11 personnel, but they have the I formation. I just put this play in here because I love this damn play. I love the way it's run. I've seen it for like the last 2 years in the National Football League. So it's a toss. It's a toss that just is really a downhill run. So they go to by the way, if you ever see this with this jam look and he's in here, you got to feel pretty good about, running some sort of, you would love to see some sort of just simple double here, pull out and just call it a day, right? Or just even double with a wham here because, man, that's not a big dude right there to be playing D tackle. But they run this little toss, get back in. The one thing you can say about this team is the safeties are nosy. When they're in the box, they do a good job of coming down and actually making tackles. But again, I think this whole game is going to be about whether or not the Bears have to do something different to get pressure on the quarterback. All right, so I think the most kind of